ready. So, all right, guys. So we're joined today by Neil Yoda Hill. So, Neil, if you want to take a minute to kind of introduce yourself to people who might not know who you are, just kind of give a brief introduction to who you are and what you do.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Neil Hill. I'm a professional coach and also retired IFB professional bodybuilder. I'm also one of the official coaches to Yamamoto, which I'm very proud about. I've been a part of the company now for a certain length of time, and it's great for me to have the opportunity to travel the world and be a part of something that I believe is very, very special. But I'm obviously an international coach. I have been very blessed to have some amazing opportunities and moments with a lot of different individuals within the industry. And I'm extremely grateful to everyone that I've had the opportunity to work with, currently and past. So that's the introduction for myself.
So the reason that Neil and I are talking right now is because of a video that William Bonac put up on his Instagram page where he had a lot of negative things to say about Neil. So first, Neil, I wanted you to talk a little bit about your relationship with William and how it got started.
Okay, so William and myself started working together for a very brief spell of time, probably 6 or 7 years ago. William and I met each other at a show that I was promoting in the UK. It was the British Grand Prix. It was taking place in Manchester and looked amazing. I mean, I never had seen William's physique up to that point. He brought a great package to the stage, very, very competitive. I believe at that time he came 5th, I believe. It was a very stacked lineup. And then 1 or 2 weeks later, myself and Flex Lewis, because Flex was competing in the same show, we traveled to Prague, and William was competing in Prague as well. I can't remember where William placed, but again, he looked great. And we spoke, and basically William was interested in working with me. Now at the time, William was not in such a great financial position, but I offered him the fact or the ability to start working with me, and I didn't charge him. To start working with him. We only worked together for a brief spell of time, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, and then William felt uncomfortable with the fact that he wasn't able to charge me for my services. Not at any time did we speak about the monetary side of things on my behalf. Now, William had mentioned a couple of times because he's very prideful, and he felt uncomfortable that, obviously I was giving my time and my experience into him. And he felt that he would prefer to be in a position where he was able to financially pay for my services just because for him it was important. So we started working together, had a good, very good connection, very good mutual respect for one another. And about a year or two later, we met each other again. It was in Prague. He competed, made some good improvements with his physique in that show. Still, had a long way to go as far as being at a level to be really competitive in the IFBB Pro League circuit, yes. But he certainly had an amazing foundation, and you could see that obviously he put a lot of hard work and effort into his physique. You can't build a physique like that without being committed and working hard. So big respect for everything that Williams, achieved up to that point. So we spoke again, and Williams, he approached me, wanted to work with me, was very much in the same financial position. So I gave him the ability to work with me, and instead of paying me, which he couldn't afford, I said to William that what I will do, William, I will see if I can find you some sponsors, and from that sponsorship, you can indirectly pay me in relationship to what they give you. And what that basically was is that I became William's manager and coach. So any contract which was going to take place with William during that time was going to indirectly go through me. Now, William didn't have any contacts with supplement companies and other companies, etc. So I reached out to companies who I had good relationships with, and basically I negotiated a contract for William. And the contract with William was, I do not touch his salary in any way whatsoever. William was going to receive salary from his companies. He was going to get product from his company. He was going to get financial support for his travel, his accommodation, food allowance, etc. when he traveled to any event around the world, etc. And I would take 20% of his prize money that he collected from a show, and I would receive 20% of the bonus money that he would get from a company that I personally brought into the contract. So if William said to me, Coach, I've got 5 companies who are interested in investing in you. Can you do the contracts for them? Yes, no problems. Now, maybe, for example, William would have received $10,000 in bonus. I would never touch that money because I wasn't the person who brought those into William's career. Those were companies that he brought in. But anything that I personally brought in, then I would receive 20% of his bonus money.
So you never took 40% of anything of William's salary?
Not at any time. I never took 40% of William's salary. I never touched William's salary. The only contract and deal we had with each other was, and we have signed contracts of this, Nick, okay, is that I would take 20% of his prize money and 20% of his bonus money from the companies that I bring into his life. Not at any time did I take 40% of his prize money, 40% of his salary, 40% of his bonus. Not at any time. Not at any time whatsoever. But also understand, Nick, okay? William's career took a little bit of time to momentum as far as being with me, okay? There were shows where it was costing me tens of thousands of dollars of money for myself because every time I traveled and I went with William, I paid for my flights, I paid for my accommodation, I paid for my food, I paid for my taxis, I paid for my train. It's a lot more expensive to live outside of your home environment than it is in a hotel or a foreign country. So obviously the expenses that you incur personally are more expensive. Those expenses, however, were covered by William's sponsors. Those were part of his contract. Those are the things that we negotiated, or I negotiated on behalf of him. So that is what we agreed on. And William generally seemed very, very happy with the business arrangement we had. And bearing in mind, as I said, Nick, on the outside, it's very easy to say, well, you took 20% of William's prize money. Bearing in mind, the prize money he won over a year or 2 years is not this astronomical amount of money that people think it is compared to what he potentially is earning now. Because the prize money that William is earning now is very different than what was back 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, etc., 3 years ago.
So you had mentioned earlier that you and William were actually working on renegotiating the financial contract about the prize money and his winnings. Could you talk a little bit about what direction you guys were headed as far as those negotiations?
Okay, so from about 2 years ago, William said, hey, Coach, there are a lot of things taking place in my life. I really need to invest and invest in my life now. You never know how long, the career is going to be. Do you think that we could renegotiate, and instead of me giving you 20% of my bonus, you just take 20% of my prize money? It's like, that's fine. That's not a problem. We didn't have no crosswords, no negative comments, no negativity as far as money in any way whatsoever. So 2 years ago, we renegotiated the contract where William would no longer pay me 20% of the bonus that he received from a company in relationship to his prize money. And bear in mind as well, Nick, understand, if William was to win $50,000 prize money, he wasn't getting $50,000 bonus as well. There was a big divide, or there could be a large divide between his winnings and his bonus. So it's not as if his bonuses were the same as his winnings. No, not in any way whatsoever. But basically, 2 years ago, we renegotiated the contract. And again, it was a great contract. I was very happy. William was progressing as his earnings went up, with him earning more prize money because his places were getting better. So that was adjusted with what I was being paid. And I felt that was very fair. It was very fair and very honorable on both parties. And that took place 2 years ago, 2017 that took place. And we're now obviously in 2018. Now, let's fast forward to where we are now. It's now 2019, correct?
Mm-hmm.
William and myself renegotiated a new contract, which took place, don't quote me on this, 4-6 weeks ago, where I no longer took 20% of William's prize money. I only took 10% of his prize money. And I have the contracts drawn up and signed by William and drawn up by myself. That took place. Why did that take place? Because I actually sent William a message. William didn't ask for me to do this. I sent William a message back in May, possibly May, maybe it was April, maybe it was March, but to say it was May. And I said, hey, listen, how does this feel? And basically what I presented to William was, hey, how do you feel about this? I will take, how do you feel about this? I will take 10% of your winnings from the Olympia, 15% of your winnings from all other shows, but if you win the Arnold, I will only take 10%. Okay, so I went from 20% down to 10% for the Olympia, down from 20% of all other shows down to 15%, and for the Arnolds, I would take just 10%. Why? Because the prize money is so much higher there. Also, bear in mind as well, Nick, William doesn't do a lot of shows in a year. So it's not as if William was doing 5, 6, 7 shows. You know, last year, he did 3 shows. He did the Arnold in Columbus, Ohio. He did the Arnold in Australia, and then he did the Olympia. Why did he do the 2 Arnolds? Because they were next to each other. It made sense. After Olympia, obviously, he was tired. He spent some time with his family. He's got a beautiful family. And obviously, he wanted to spend some proper time with them because he'd been dieting for most of the year. Then we spoke on a phone call because William wanted to talk about the contract. And William said to me, Coach, how about if I give you 20% of the Olympia and 10% of all other shows? I said, I don't need 20% of Olympia, William. I said, because the prize money can be high. I said, how about this? You pay me 10% for the Olympia and then 20% of all of the shows. But if you win the Arnold, it is just 10%. Okay? I said, because you will be financially better off. Because you don't do many shows, small shows. And when I travel with you, in some cases, it costs me more to travel than what I basically get from a return. So I can make my money up if you place well in the Olympia. If you don't place well, then, you know, it's not a problem for myself. You know, financially, you know, we're both not able to receive the ideal, but it doesn't matter about that. It evens itself out. So William said, no, Coach, let's do 20% of the Olympia and then 10% of all other shows. Now, if you remember when I went back a few minutes ago, I spoke about the fact that I presented 10% Olympia, 15% of all other shows, and then 10% of the Arnolds, whereas William obviously wanted something different, okay? So we hit that happy medium. He felt happy. I was happy. Right. Then William sent me a contract. And in the contract had changed to what we agreed on, where William only actually wanted me to receive 10% of the Olympia, which we agreed on, and 10% of all other shows. But if he didn't win the Arnold, the contract was worded as if I wasn't going to get paid. And then I replied back, you know, listen, I can't agree to this. You brought a package to the stage this year which was worthy of an Arnold win. I can't dictate where you place. I can be held responsible to how you look, but I can't be held responsible to what you look like on stage as far as your placing or where you place on stage. As long as you're doing everything I ask you to do, I believe you're going to be fantastic on stage. But where you place, it's down to the judges. We have no control over this. But we exchanged messages. The messages were positive, and we agreed on 10% right the way through. And this took place maybe 4 or 6 weeks ago, Nick.
So one of the things that William mentioned in his video was the coaching itself. He tried to make it sound like you didn't really do that much for him, and you maybe tweaked a few things here and there. So I wanted you to talk specifically about what exactly you did for William as a coach and what William was like as a client.
Okay, so I sent I reached out to William in a message and said, hey, again, I'm not saying these dates are accurate, but about 18 weeks out, I messaged him and said, hey, listen, we're 18 weeks out, we're 17 weeks out, we're 19 weeks out. When do you want to start Olympia prep? Because there's been times where we started prep and William felt that we started too early. And he's felt that, maybe towards the end of the prep, he's struggling in the sense like, he's contest ready. So I said to him, do you want to start at 14 weeks out, 16 weeks out? And again, this is example. And he said, if I remember rightly, he wanted to start prep basically just after his daughter's birthday. So I wrote his full plan, Nick, okay? From his protocols to his supplementation to his diet. And I sent that to him about 17 and a half weeks out. William received that through email. He also replied, received it. Then a number of weeks later, he implied that he was waiting for me for the plan. It was like, no, I sent it to you. I went into my notes. I sent it back at May the such and such. So I went back into my emails to make sure that I had sent it. And I knew I had because he told me he had received it. I looked at the plan because we had spoken about what he was doing as far as his foods. And I readjusted again. So I made changes to the original plan that I sent him weeks before. So I made changes there. So then William was on plan. His body wasn't responding the way that I would ideally like him to respond. It was a little bit slow. It was progressive, but it was slow. And then we had spoken a number of times, and William wasn't following the plan. He was not eating the meals which were in the plan. I mean, all these messages are in my phone. I don't think I personally feel it was more the fact that William generally finds it difficult to eat meals. So food for him is an issue. For some athletes, they can churn through food. They're always hungry. William, it's not so easy for him. But structure and balance and everything needs to be in harmony with one another. So supplementation and the things which were in the plan, which needed to be implemented, were based around digestion and gut health. And when digestion and gut health is in place, then food appetite generally can see an uptake. If those two areas are not in harmony with one another, you potentially can get appetite suppression. So you need to follow the plan. William wasn't following the plan. We'd spoken a couple of times. I showed my concern a little bit in a message because I wasn't necessarily seeing the changes I wanted to see. They were slow, they were progressive. But at the same time, I couldn't put too much pressure on William and say, hey, listen, you need to get your shit together and get this meals into him, because I knew he was putting effort, he was trying, okay? But ultimately, we have a window, and I sent over some pictures to him. I basically screenshotted pictures and sent it over to him and say, look, this is past preps where we were at this stage. And this may have been at week 14, for example, Nick, okay? And I said to him, even though your condition is similar, I just don't feel that we're carrying the same kind of fullness. I know you're trying with the meals, but we really need to just increase that food and see an intake in that. I said, even if it's just simply you add an extra meal for the form of a protein shake. So I made changes in relationship to what William could eat. So I can only force or try to get an athlete to apply themselves up to a certain level. Ultimately, I could ask Flex Lewis to eat 10 meals a day. Whether he eats 10 meals a day is down to his appetite and how committed and how hungry he is, etc. But my point is that I put my time and my attention into William through our prep into the Olympia where I needed to. How he applies himself and how he does that is obviously down to William. He was making out on his socials that basically I gave him a plan at 17 weeks out and I never made any changes. That's not the case. He had his plan at 17 weeks out. I made changes to his diet a number of weeks after. I made changes to his protocol a number of weeks after. And I did what I needed to on my side. William would always send me pictures. 80-90% of the time, William would always send me pictures on a back day and a chest day. So I'd always get pictures roughly 3 to 4 days apart, for example. I was getting pictures from William once a week. He was sporadic with giving me his body weight. So I'd say, hey, can you just make sure you send me your body weight? Send me your body weight. And it was very sporadic. Now, some people might say, what does body weight have to do with anything? People prep in different ways. William doesn't do caliper reader. He doesn't do hydrocycle tanks. He doesn't do a measure of his body fat percentage. So the only way that I can read off his body fat percentage or his lean muscle mass is basically pictures. And what that body weight does, it allows me to see if I'm seeing any visual change as far as fullness is concerned, and a visual change taking place with him getting leaner, but monitor his body weight. So if William was to follow if William, for instance, was getting leaner every week for 4 weeks and his body weight stayed stable, it would tell me that he's gaining lean muscle tissue, he's losing body fat, okay? If William was gaining body fat and his weight was going up, I would question whether his weight gain was in relationship to muscle and fat gain, or whether it would be the opposite way around. Or you could even say, Nick, that if William lost 4 pounds of body fat, if William lost 10 pounds of body weight, and I could see he got leaner over 2 weeks, that would be a big concern for me, because it would tell me that he's potentially over-dieting or under-eating, because to lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks is too much of a drastic change. I can only extract X amount from what a client gives me. And I also expressed my concern with the picture updates that I was getting with William, because even though, he was putting effort, he was taking the pictures, once a week for me. And I know that we can't always control the environments we're in, but the trouble is when the lighting is so different, it's very hard for me to extract the information and give a real clear perspective on it. And I'm just going to change my screen over because I want to show you something. Hopefully it's going to change over. So tell me if you can see this picture of William. Is that clear or not really?
That's clear, yep.
Yeah. So, hang on. It's a picture of William. Clear?
Yep.
Different in lighting?
Yep.
Different lighting? Different lighting?
Yep.
There's 4 pictures taken in 4 consecutive weeks. The lighting is completely different. It's impossible for me to extract real visual information when the picture lighting is so difficult. Now, this is innocent on William's part, but it's also innocent on my part that I can't always extract the information that is sent to me. So if I'm not getting my updates with his body weight, and the pictures that you're sending me are very different with the lighting, it's very difficult for me to do my job to my best ability. That's the responsibility to the client. It's not my responsibility. Ultimately, I gave William my time and my attention. How he applies himself to the plan is up to him. If he's not following the meal plan exactly as I asked him to, he's not following the supplement plan as I asked him to do, he's not following the protocols as I asked him to do, or he's not following the cardio as I asked him to do, and then if he sporadically changes things and doesn't tell me, then how am I able to honestly, efficiently monitor progress and give an athlete my true ability to help them be their best? I mean, does that mean that I'm a bad coach?
Absolutely not.
But that's exactly what William was applying.
That's exactly what he implied.
He said, I never made any changes. I've got all the evidence that I made changes. There's in my phone. Guys, listen, I've had an amazing relationship with William. Am I upset? I'm very upset. I'm upset, I'm hurt, I'm frustrated. I feel very let down. I will always want the best for him, and I always have. All right, I love him, but I'm hurting at the moment. I really hope that he brings something special to Olympia this year. I hope he really places well. Does he have the ability? Yeah, he's learned a lot from me. If he applies himself how I've taught him and what he's learned from me, and Nick, he's learned a lot from me in 6 years, okay? But he owes me nothing. He paid me for a service, and I gave him a service. But I feel the way that William has presented our relationship is very unfair, very inaccurate. And my video is not me trying to air frustration and hate and dislike for William. First of all, I shouldn't have to step on a public platform and have to defend myself for things which are completely incorrect. Okay? Which are completely incorrect. I'm a professional coach. I'm a retired IFBB professional bodybuilder. I'm a part of a professional company. I'm a part of Yamamoto Nutrition, which is an international, an elite sports supplement company, which are very prideful of what they do in the industry. They give back to the industry in multiple different ways. They give back to the community in different ways. But at the end of the day, as a professional, you have to conduct yourself in a certain manner. And even though a public forum or a public outlet like Instagram and Facebook gives people the ability to speak freely, and so they should be, sometimes people are not accurate, and sometimes people are irrational, and sometimes people are not honest and direct with what they say. And I'm only on here purely not to bring down William or say negative things about him. I'm here actually having to justify myself for something I shouldn't have to do.
Yeah, I agree. So was there any specific incident or interaction between you and William that you would say was the primary reason that he ended up making that video in the first place? So
William sent me obviously the pictures over, and I said to him, it's very hard for me to give you an honest opinion from this. I said, because the lighting is so different. And William replied, lighting's always like that. It's never going to change. And then I sent him the pictures over and said, look, the lighting's been different every 4 weeks. So I didn't say, so yes, the lighting is always going to be the same, because it's been different for the last 4 weeks. But that's not what I said to him. I'm just explaining myself here. He said to me, well, if you can't tell what you need to do, I'll do it myself. And I said, I'm not saying that you haven't changed. You look like you're a little leaner and harder in your midsection, but I can't see any other changes because the lighting is shadowing you, or the lighting is insignificant to what I need to see. So, okay, I said, send me pictures. Don't forget, send me pictures on a back day and chest day. So everything's fine. Everything's cool. There were times where I felt that the communication was like, I found William's communication towards me over the last number of weeks, maybe even months, kind of disconnected, if that makes sense. Just kind of like, it was professional, but it was blank. It felt like his respect or like for me was different. And I sensed that for a length of time. Anyway, so what happened? William was supposed to send me pictures. And then what happened, he messaged me, kind of said hi, wasn't able to take pictures, haven't been very well today, been sick. I'm starting to feel a bit better now. Hopefully tomorrow I'll feel better. If I do, I'll take some pictures. And I said, okay, mate, no problems. Listen, if you've got any essential minerals and hydration fluids or formulas and fluid, drink plenty of that. That's obviously going to help hydrate you, etc. And William said, I don't have any. So I said to William, okay, listen, I get back to the UK on Thursday. I can send you some over if you want. I'll get some and I'll send you some over. And he said, okay, cool. I said, I'll message you tomorrow, mate, see if you're okay. So William was okay. So the next day I messaged William and I said, hey, how are you feeling today? How are you feeling today, mate? Yeah, feeling a bit better. I said, at least you're moving forward in the right direction. And then he said something like, I changed things. I changed my protocol because you were supposed to get back to me a week ago and I haven't heard anything from you. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? I was supposed to change things a week ago. I never said I was going to make changes a week ago. I looked at your plans, your protocol at week 13 and I made changes. This example, it could have been 12. I looked at your plan again, maybe at week 10, and I said, hey, I'm going to look to see if I'm going to make any changes. I looked at the plan. I replied to him the following day to say, hey, listen, I've looked at your plan. No changes need to be made at this moment. We'll look at it again at week 9 or 8. Okay, cool. So when William was throwing accusations at me saying that you were supposed to get back to me a week ago and make changes, it's like, no, I wasn't. I said to you that I would look at week I would look at your plan at week 8 or 9. We're at actually week 9 now, and I would make changes. So he was making accusations that I hadn't done something that I wasn't supposed to do, okay, as if I wasn't giving him my time and my attention. My point was, Nick, I was checking on him on that day innocently just to see if he was okay, because he wasn't very well the day before. And then all of a sudden I'm getting accused that I'm not doing my job, so he made changes to his plan a week ago. So I just said to him, so what are you doing at the moment, mate? And he replied, you're the coach, you should know. I said, I don't know. You haven't told me what you're doing. How do I know what you're doing? And then he implied, like, it's okay, I do my own thing. It's like, why are you being like this? Like, why are you being so sarcastic and negative? Like, this energy, like, what has been going on with you over the last number of weeks? I said, like, what is going on? And William replied, oh, it must be me. It must be me then. I said, it is you, because I don't get any of this from any of my other clients. I don't have any of these issues with any of my clients. Then William kind of replied again, don't take all these words as gospel. It's okay, cool. I do my own thing. I'll do my own thing. Take care. Thanks for the last number of years, etc. Good, you know. And I said to him, okay, fine. I said, but I'm going to send you over a very clear breakdown of everything that's taken place. So what I meant by that was, look, I'm going to go back to where our Olympia prep started from the beginning and list all the key points where you've not been applying yourself to the program, where you need to apply yourself to the program, because you've never been waiting for me. I have all of it in my phone, everything. So I'm going to send this to you. That's what I indirectly applied, okay? That's exactly what I applied. Not because I was going to speak to anybody about it, Nick, because it's got nothing to do with anybody else. Because I wanted him to take responsibility of his actions. And if you're going to accuse me for something that I have done, or if you're going to accuse me for something I haven't done, then at least be respectful and take responsibility. So that's what I was going to do to him. I was going to basically list everything, send it over an email. Now, how he replied to that would be up to him. That would be up to him. It would have been a very professional email. It would have been very kind and loving as well, because I hadn't had time to think about the fact that me and William had just stopped working together, because that's what William said in his message. But I would have replied in a very professional manner. Then he phones me up and then starts threatening me on the phone. So then he phones me up and starts threatening me on the phone. And then he put the phone down on me, really before I had a chance to say anything. And then I said, I'd have to go to my phone, but I said, okay, cool, no problems. I'm going to send it anyway. And that's when he went on Instagram. That's exactly what happened, Nick. Nothing different. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened.
So in his video, he also made this weird comparison of your living arrangements. That the fact that he's living in this shithole, as he called it, and you're living in this $3,000 apartment in Boca. So he made this comparison as if he's living like that because he's paying you, and you're living like that because of his money. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that comparison that he made.
Well, everybody in life has a choice. Not all of us have the same choices in life. It's very fair that there's different individuals which are brought up in different communities, different countries, which don't have all the same opportunities. But in the Western society, okay, Europe, America, Canada, people tend to have equal choices. William has a revenue stream from multiple different revenue streams. He has a monthly salary from his sponsors, and his sponsors have been fantastic. I've dealt with them since day one. His contract was signed via me. Okay, so he's been with them since William and I started. And the company owner has been always very supportive of William on that level. He has a monthly revenue that he receives from GorillaWare, which is his sponsor. He also has an online coaching platform where William's name is attached to it as far as the online coaching, but his business partner does the coaching. That's what William said. William said to me, Jeff does all the coaching, and Jeff's a good coach, and William's name's attached to it. And he also has his merchandise, all right, and his merchandise. He also has his guest appearances. So there's 5 revenue streams there that William has the ability to make money on. I have no entitlement to anyone. I don't get any money. William also receives a prize money for his places, so he should. He's an elite athlete, and he also gets a bonus in relationship to his places. What do I take? Well, at the very beginning of our career, I was taking 20% of his prize money, 20% of his bonus money. Remember, that ended in 2017, where I was only then taking 20% of his prize money. Then in the last 4 to 6 weeks, we negotiated, and I was only going to be taking 10% of his prize money. My apartment is paid for from my hard work. Does William pay me? Does he pay for my rent? No, I pay my rent myself. William doesn't pay my rent. William doesn't buy my food. He doesn't buy my oxygen. He doesn't buy my clothes. He doesn't buy my car. I pay for those things myself. I give him a professional service, and he pays me for my professional service. How William chooses to live and spend his money is up to him, Nick. I don't have a plush car. I don't have a fancy car. I'm not a plush, blingy type of person. William has a nice car, and so he should. He's worked his ass off for it. So he's worked as hard. He's worked really hard for it. Okay, so he deserves all the good things in life. But to try and say that he's bought and funded my life off his earnings is not the case whatsoever. Anything that William's ever paid me has never been paid to me directly, as far as me taking that money and spending it on my mortgage, etc. I have my own revenue streams. I have my online coaching. I am very fortunate to be a part of Yamamoto, and I'm very, very prideful to be a part of this brand, who are amazing to me. And I don't mean that on a financial aspect. The fact they give me the opportunity to reach thousands of people on a platform, but also travel the world with the company and represent them. They've got an amazing team of athletes, and they've got an amazing team of people within the company. Dr. Gabrielle, he is absolutely a genius when it comes to formulation. My boss, Sylvia, is amazing. The boss of Yamamoto, it's an amazing team feeling. But my point is that I have opened my own doors from my own hard work. If you actually look at my Instagrams and look how much I traveled this year, from January until the end of May, it literally was non-stop. What was I doing, Nick? I was working. I had obligations to supplement companies. I had obligations for lectures. I had obligations for international appearances. I worked my ass off. It's not William Bonac which is paying for my apartment. It's my hard work. In the same way, it's not me paying for William's possessions in life. It's his hard work. So to apply that I am living in a $3,000 apartment, which is actually not the case, it's actually $2,700 roughly, but that's irrelevant, okay? It's from my hard work. It's not him who's playing my lifestyle. I choose to spend the money how I want. Now, William was implying that he's living in, I think he said it's a shithole. I can't remember.
That's what he said.
Yeah. And I think he said it a number of times. I'm living like this. This is my shithole. This is my crib. This is this. Hey, it's not what your home looks like from the outside. It's how you feel about yourself inside. So if you're unhappy that you feel that your house is a shithole, then why don't you do something about it? Why don't you decorate? Why don't you paint? Why don't you put some carpet on your stairs? Why don't you clean the house? Why don't you dust the house? Why don't you make the house feel like it's your home? It doesn't make any difference if it's a $3,000 apartment or whether it's a $500 apartment. It's irrelevant. It's how you feel about yourself. Me personally, I would rather go without a nice car and nice possessions and have a home that I feel happy in. $3,000 or $2,700 is a lot of money, okay? And it's an astronomical amount of money for some people. But believe you me, Florida is quite an expensive place to live, okay? It's not cheap. So even though $2,700 is a lot of money, it is. It's not as if you get this beautiful house.
Right.
Okay? And lastly, Nick, what William didn't tell anyone when he did this video is at the moment he's having a house built. And the house is anywhere between 750 and 850 euros. So it's nearly $1 million. William hasn't spoke about the fact that he's having this beautiful house built. I've seen the architectural drawings he showed me. And you know what? He deserves to have this house. This guy, over the last 6 years, has worked so friggin' hard. So he should have these beautiful things in his life. And I am really happy and I'm really proud of the things that he's achieved. Hugely disappointed, hugely upset with what's been said. But how could I not want him to have all the things that he deserves? He is a creation of his own hard work. But please don't try and twist this and make me out to be a bad person and that I've only followed his journey for the last 6 years because I wanted money. That is not the case. And anyone who's anyone in this industry who has seen me working with William, okay, they know who I am. They know how much time, how much attention, how much love. William was making out like, I say, I love you, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I fucking really do love William. I really do love William. I care about him massively. Our relationship is over. I don't feel I need to apologize for anything that I've done. Do I think he needs to apologize? Yeah, I think he needs to apologize, but I know William. He won't apologize because that's the type of person he is. At the end of the day, I can look in the mirror and feel very prideful of who I am and how I've conducted myself. And then how we extract that is up to ourselves. As I said from the very beginning, the sad thing about this is that I shouldn't have to jump on here and defend myself. This should have been strictly something between me and William. He's an IFBB professional athlete, on stage, off stage. He's representing his international companies. He's representing the IFBB Pro League. Do you really think the IFBB Pro League need all this negativity at the moment with the negativity which has already taken place?
Definitely not.
I have to come onto a platform and defend myself here? Like, really? He should be disappointed with how he's behaved. And viewers can have their own opinions. If I've said something which disappoints somebody, I'm sorry. As I said, I have a huge amount of love for William. At the moment, do I respect? Yes, I respect, but I'm massively disappointed. I genuinely hope he goes on to do very, very well this year. If he applies himself with everything I've taught him, he'll do very well. If he doesn't, maybe he'll work with another coach. Maybe another coach can bring the better out of him. Well, I wish him all the very, very best. I don't have that side of me. I believe that right is right, wrong is wrong. A lie is a lie, and the truth is the truth. And everything I've just said is exactly accurate. There's nothing missing.
So there's one last thing I wanted to touch on. He made some comments about your relationship with Flex Lewis. I wanted you to talk a little bit about what your relationship right now currently is like with Flex Lewis.
But you know what? That may be a question which is better asked at Flex Lewis. So I think that, myself and Flex Lewis have been working together for 16 years. Okay? Many good marriages don't last 16 years. Okay? Many good relationships don't even probably last 5 years. There's been some times in my career and my life with Flex where there are things which have happened which have been upsetting, probably upsetting on both sides. There are times where I feel that my time was maybe not appreciated, okay? But the bottom line is this. Myself and Flex were always wanting what's best for each other. Myself and Flex had a very deep conversation about probably 18 months ago about our working relationship. And there were a lot of tears which took place and apologies which took place. And my relationship with Flex now is better than it's ever been. He's achieved so much off stage and he's achieved so much on stage. There's a fine line and there's a balance in life. And sometimes it's very, very hard to find that balance, yes? And that's something that I'd like to think that I brought into Flex's life massively. It's not just about being a coach. It's about finding that balance and helping somebody find that path where you can have everything and everything needs to be in harmony. And I feel that that relationship with me and Flex is better than it's always or has ever been. We're doing so many more things together on a business level. We spend so much more quality time together. There was a time where I felt with Flex, and this is me not being negative because he would say the same, I felt that Flex would want my time come contest time, but then not want my time for us to have our time. Do you understand?
All right.
And there was times where I felt like you know, where has our friendship gone? Does that make sense? Like this started off on an innocent path, you know? Where is our moments where we sit down and just have dinner together and talk about life instead of always chasing a goal and always chasing a title? And we're more aligned now than we ever were. There was a spell for about 2 years which were not so good. And I'm sure that Flex would openly talk about these things. My relationship with William, believe you me, it's not been easy over 6 years. You see a polished diamond on stage when an athlete steps on stage. You don't see the hard work which goes into it by the athlete, and you don't see the hard work and the love and the communication, the support that the loved ones give to that athlete to represent themselves in the best light. And you certainly don't see maybe the contributing parts that a coach brings to the stage. William also applied that I basically was just trying to grow my status as a coach. No, I wasn't. I will always try to do my best for my athletes to do their best because it makes me feel proud about myself that I'm doing something which at least has value for somebody else. And if that means that my status or my value or my professionalism rises in the industry, then that's a natural progression. It's no different than an athlete rising up through the pro ranks and achieving more professional status. Are they not naturally going to grow? Is it not naturally the case in life in general that if there was a coach and a professional sportsman and they were working together and they're achieving great things together, does the coach and the athlete not both gain credibility naturally and innocently? So what have I done wrong then?
Sounds like nothing. Flex was actually the #1 person messaging me to get you to have this opportunity to come on here and be able to defend yourself. So I think Flex does still think very highly of you.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, like I said from the beginning, is that I shouldn't have to come up on here.
Right.
You know, I'm upset. You know, I am an emotional person, but I'm a strong person. So I am self-motivated. I don't need somebody to motivate me. I have my own demons in my mind that, you know, drive me each day. I've had so many negative comments from people that I don't even know around the world. 40%. It's like, how can you say 40%? It's not 40%. You haven't got the facts right. And they say 20 and 20 is 40. No, it isn't. It's 20 and 20 is not 40. There's two totally different revenue streams. And as I said, William wasn't clear and didn't give any clarity. There's nothing that I have said to you which is untrue. There's nothing. And I would also like to think that if William was to listen to this and actually listen to this, I've not been slating him. I've not been disrespectful. I haven't been shouting abuse at him. I want him to be successful. I want him to be happy in life. I don't know what it is that's going on in William's life at the moment because how he behaved on Instagram, I've seen it a number of times before. I don't know if there's something that he's going through at the moment which is difficult, but whatever it is, I hope that things work himself out. And I know that Sue, he's got a beautiful girlfriend, Sue. They're expecting another child, which is going to be due around Olympia time. So, you know, I hope that everything on the baby front and William's career really move forward in a positive light.
So I think we've answered pretty much every point that William made in that video. Is there anything that you think we missed or anything you wanted to close with before we go?
I don't know if I spoke about the injury situation where William mentioned.
Okay, so William had made a comment that either when you guys first started working together or prior to you working together, you were living in India, and he kind of made the implication that because of him, you elevated your living situation from India to like he made you.
Well, that is completely not the case, Nick. Okay, so again, I shouldn't even have to talk about this. Myself and my ex-wife bought a property. And the house was built in 1862, and it was a complete renovation. It was a lot of work. I did 90% of the work myself because that's kind of my background, yeah? So I was working really hard with my online coaching. I was putting my time into the house. The house was very expensive, and it got to a situation where my earnings were not able to keep up with the financial demand to finish the house off. So I moved to India to work, and I had an opportunity there to work for a length of time to have the ability to save enough money to finish my house. I was very fortunate to work with some very, very, very important people in India from multiple different areas of the industry. I was over there with Chris Gethin. Chris is an amazing coach and has achieved so much in the industry with his supplement line as an individual. So myself and Chris were working together, and we worked with some of the biggest celebrities, the most successful businessmen around the world. And I worked there for 2 years, and it was an extremely hard time for me because I was missing my wife and my children. I wanted to be home with them, but I financially wasn't able to get the house finished, and I was able to support the house at the same time, so I went there to live. That's got nothing to do with William. William, at the early years of his professional career working with me, Nick, his earnings were very low as far as prize money, remember. You know, people are thinking 20%. 20% of William's prize money in the first number of years was not this astronomical amount of money.
All right.
You have to understand, his prize money he's won has gone up over the years. It started at nothing. It shows he wasn't winning anything. So, you know, prime example, we went to Brazil one year, okay, to compete. Who paid for that whole trip? Myself. I funded the whole trip for both of us. The whole trip. But it's okay, Nick. It's not a problem. I believed in William. I didn't say, I'm going to put all this money into William because I'm going to get this return in investment. When I started working with Flex 16 years ago, did I believe he would win the Olympia one day? Yes, I did. But remember, it was a naive, it was just a naive thought. Whether it happened or not was something different. Did I think that with this journey with Flex and as he gained momentum and success that financially would earn all this money and I potentially could earn this money? No, because that wasn't our driving force. It was about this dream and this vision to try and be the best bodybuilder in the world. The monetary side of the things was just a natural progression. Was it something which motivated me? It was never on my mind. For some people, they're motivated by the money. Some people are motivated by the journey or the challenge or the goal or the dream. If I wanted to earn money, I would not necessarily be doing what I'm doing. I could go into different areas of my life which would allow me less stress and less hassle. Traveling the world, being away from home, putting all that time and effort into somebody else and not having the time for yourself sometimes, yeah? And do you know what sometimes, Nick, what's really sad as a coach is that your athletes will want your time, and they should because they pay you for your time. They want your time, they want your experience, and they need your attention, and they're emotional. You're a coach, you're a father figure, you're a psychiatrist, okay? You're all of these things. But you know, sometimes it would be nice for your clients just to message you, say, hey, coach, hope you're keeping all right. Just checking to see how you're doing, man. How's everything in your life? How many of my clients do you think ask me that?
None of them.
Very few,
Very few.
Yeah? My point is that I ask my athletes those things all the time.
Yeah.
Because I really fucking care about them. Yeah? And maybe sometimes I want a bit of love. Sometimes maybe I want a bit of support. Maybe sometimes I'm not looking for attention, but sometimes maybe I don't want to be consumed with bodybuilding and I just want my relationship with my client. Because if you really care about your clients, then there's more outside of this world than winning a trophy on stage. You know, real success cannot be measured by a trophy or by your prize money. There are things, and there'll be times in your life and your career where your career on stage will end. How are you going to reflect and how are you going to grow as an individual? And where are you going to find happiness and peace then? If you can't find happiness and peace now as a successful athlete, how are you going to find it in the future when you feel that you've lost your identity? Balance. And that's something I always try to instill in my athletes.
So would there ever be a scenario where you would work with William again?
No.
Never?
No. Because first and foremost, I feel I need an apology. Okay? I feel like I think the right thing to do would actually to give a sincere apology and actually mean it. If you don't feel that what you've done or what you're saying is wrong, then that's up to you. I know that I've been very honest. Now, I don't know what the views are going to be like from this. There might be 99% of this might be all hatred towards me because that seems all that I've got already for is hatred from William's post, or maybe people will actually open their eyes and be open-minded and now have a different opinion on this. Okay, for me, I feel for me to work with William, he needs to change certain things as an individual. There are things that he needs to change in himself. For me to give him the best of me, then he has to give me the best of him. And no, it's not money. It's not 20%. It's not 40%, guys and girls. It's not 80%. It's not even fucking 10%. But he needs to apply himself to me and give me some respect. And not give me respect on a public forum, say, hey, Neil Hill is great, he's a great coach. Just respect me. Speak to me like an equal human being. Like, give me some form of self-respect. Because if you can't give me self-respect, then we don't have friendship. And if we don't have friendship after 6 years of working together, then we don't have anything. I could coach you and I could give you my time and I can give you my experience, and but I can't give you my passion. Because for me to give you my passion, I have to feel that you appreciate me. And if you don't appreciate me and you don't value me, then how can I give you the biggest part of me, which is the most important part, which is my passion? So if William feels that what he's done or how he's behaved, not just from his video post, but can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. We broke up for a second.
Yeah. So the likelihood of that happening is very little. What I would like in a perfect world, I would like to have some form of friendship back, which is built on the things that we've really experienced together. Because we've had some really amazing moments. Like, we have had some amazing moments. And there's been some moments which have not been so nice. But for myself, it's like William has to decide what he wants. And how he is going to react with this video, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, what the viewer, I don't even know what you really feel. Because, Nick, I saw your video and your comments on William's post that he put up. And to be honest with you, even though you never said anything negative towards me, everything indirectly that you did say was negative towards me. So what I'm saying to you is that now you've listened actually to the real facts of everything. Have your opinions changed on every note, or only marginally, or slightly? I mean, let me ask you a question. You've just interviewed me. Now I'm going to ask you a question.
My opinion definitely has changed. I think when I first watched William's video, number one, it was very emotional. I don't think it was that well thought out. But when I watched his video, it was the only side of the story that I had. So going off of what William said and how passionate he was about what he was saying, I thought certainly what he was saying had to be true. And then I saw your live video on Instagram, and everything that you said was much more well thought out, much more measured, and just seemed much more rational and reasonable than what Bonac had said. And now after talking to you for an hour here, I think pretty much every point that Bonac had made, you have refuted very well, and I've changed my opinion completely on the situation.
The thing is, you said I think you just applied, I spoke rational. I don't think I did actually speak rational, because when I went on that video to do my video, I didn't have actually any time to really think about things. I literally just saw maybe a minute or two of William's, post. I didn't see all of it. So I just spoke basically how I felt at that moment and didn't have any time to really think about things, not put real thought into it. I hope that I was professional in the way that I spoke and I handled myself. Maybe some people, they thought I was, some people I wasn't. And if I didn't, then I apologize. But sometimes when you're speaking with emotion, it's not always possible to portray or speak the way you'd like to. Even now, even though I've had days to think about this, etc., you've asked me questions. I didn't pre-rehearse all these answers. I'm talking to you in relationship to the question. So even now I have emotion. If I had these questions written down, answer the questions through a typewriter, maybe I can be more professional or even calmer. But we don't live in a perfect world, and this is not a perfect environment, and this is far from a perfect situation.
All right. Well, I'm glad I had you on here, man. I really appreciate your time, and I think we definitely covered all the bases. And hopefully, people watching this will come away with a much more, grounded perspective on what's actually went on.
Okay, I appreciate it. So, as I said, I obviously massively appreciate your time. I know it's obviously time away from your work and your loved ones. I want to say I hope that everybody who actually looks at this video actually watches it all. I know it's long. Sorry that it's as long as it is, but with a situation like this, you can't possibly give clear clarity in a 5-minute interview. It's not possible.
I agree.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Anyway, good luck, all the best. Good luck with Olympia. I know you're going to be doing some good things over there, my friend, and I look forward to see you in Vegas, yes?
Thank you so much. Yep, I really appreciate your time, Neil.
Thank you. Lastly, I just want to say, really appreciate all the support that people have given me over the years. I've been in the industry now for 31 years, and I know that there are a lot of people around the world who don't always have the opportunity to meet all the athletes which represent themselves on an international stage. There's a lot of fans everywhere around the world, and I am very grateful for the support that I've had from all you guys and girls over the years, and obviously the athletes that I coach, and also I'm sure that all the other great athletes in the world, which I am not coaching, appreciate everybody's support. So take care and good luck with all your fitness and life goals, guys. Keep chasing them, and I wish you all the very best in 2019, because we are certainly in for one exciting 2019 Mr. Olympia.
That's for sure. Thank you so much, Neil.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.